What's up, guys? Adam with Whisker Fisherman TV. Today I want to talk about something a little different. If you guys watch my channel, I know I don't have a lot of subscribers or viewers or anything, but if you watch it, I do the shit hit the fan unboxings and talked about my preps a little bit, and I've talked about, actually I don't even know if I've talked about bug out bags at all. But one thing I wanted to put out there is that while a bug out bag I think is really important, and you can make as many as you feel like making for as many different situations. I personally have a couple in my home and then a couple outside of my home. I'm not going to get too into that, but I think that provides a certain amount of security. But in an ideal situation, I wouldn't say ideal. That's completely counterintuitive, I guess. In a shit hit the fan situation, government, economic collapse, natural disaster, you want to try and stay at home in a familiar place for as long as you can, really. Basically just try and ride it out. So while a bug out bag and all the gear and stuff is great, there's a lot to be said for some simple food preps at home. And I'm not necessarily talking about putting a grocery store in your basement. More power to you if you can, but for me, what I worry about more is a natural disaster. We've been having a lot of flooding. A couple of roads went out. What if I was stuck at home for a couple of months? Sounds pretty unlikely, but it has happened and it does happen. So I wanted to show you guys a really basic, this is 20 bucks a week, and I'm going to do this every week. It's just how I'm going to do my food preps for a while. And just show you guys, if you go along with me, you'll be very surprised at how quickly $20 a week or $20 a month, depending on what you can do, $10 a month, how far that can go if something would happen and you'd be stuck in your home for, potentially months at a time. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but if it does, this will at least give you some protection in your home from starvation, which is not the way I'd like to go. There's a lot of other stuff can happen, but we'll get into that a little farther down the road. So I went to Walmart. We're going to start with the real basics. This is week 1. First thing up, 5-pound bag of all-purpose flour. We're not going to get into real super long shelf life foods quite yet. We will get into packing some of this stuff up, but our basic goal is to get you a couple months ahead, and then we'll process through it as you see fit. But all-purpose flour came to a couple bucks. That's a lot of flour, guys. I don't cook much. It will probably take me over a year to work through this if it was just in my kitchen, but again, at the price, you can always make hardtack if you have to. So all-purpose flour, just to get us started. 5-pound bag, no brainer, guys. 5 pounds of rice. Again, I'm not crazy on rice. Now, they say this is a forever food if you store it right. So you could vacuum seal this, put it in Mylar bags and buckets and all that stuff. But for right now, I wanted to show you guys stuff you could just kind of throw in your cabinet. And we will be repacking a lot of the stuff down the road, but that's more week 10 stuff, not week 1 stuff. 5 pounds of rice. I think this was less than $2. Definitely less than 5. I'm almost positive of that. 5 pounds of rice. Serving. We're not going to get into the servings and calorie intake on everything in here, guys, but 160 calories, 50 servings, go a long way. You could live on just that for a while. It might not be too comfortable, but you could live on it. Quick oats. Now you can buy regular oats. Again, they say that's a forever food. Not what we're going for in this video. less than $2, 150 calories a servings, at least 150 calories per a serving, 13 servings per container. That's a couple days right there if you had to live on it. I'm not crazy about oatmeal, but you could live on it. Spaghetti. Again, pasta, supposed to be another forever food. This actually is good till 2021, so as we're rotating our stuff out, some of the stuff with a longer shelf life will probably just leave where it's at. 200 calories a serving, 8 servings a container. Again, not my favorite thing, but this is your basic stuff. That's what I tried to get, your basic beginner stuff. And there's some things I couldn't get that we'll have to touch on down the road, but this was most definitely less than $2. And again, it's not my favorite food in the world, but a plate full of spaghetti is a hell of a lot better than a plate full of nothing. So we went with spaghetti. Something I do like. Usually I go with Spam. This week I went with Magic Tricks. This week I went with your treat. Same thing. I've had it before. Pretty much the same thing. Now, a lot of people aren't crazy about Spam. Some people have never had Spam. What I want to point out with this is that you can eat this right out of the can. If you watched one of my fishing videos, I talked about it as the breakfast of champions. I was just eating it with a pocket knife. What I like about it is that you can eat it uncooked, which is going to be a problem with some of this other stuff, but you can do a lot with it if you do cook it. You know, it makes a pretty decent replacement for a lot of recipes. Now again, I'm not a chef by any stretch of the imagination, but it wouldn't take me too long to figure out that if I dice this up into cubes and throw it in a bowl of rice, it's probably going to make that rice at least have a little bit more flavor. It'd really give you a calorie boost. Fair bit of protein in these, 8 grams a serving, and there's 6 servings in here. That's one of my favorites. Again, canned meat. I tried to knock a couple of these out because it's one of the more expensive items we're going to be buying. I just got a couple cans of chicken. These were a little more expensive. I think these were probably close to $3 a piece. I might be wrong on that. I don't actually have my receipt with me, but good item to have. It goes a lot along with your Spam in that there's a lot of different things you can do with it. And if you do live with somebody who's maybe not a fan of Spam, whatever, or you're just going to get tired of it, I wouldn't recommend just buying 50 cans of Spam no matter how much you like it, because you're just going to get tired of it. But these work well in a lot of different recipes. Again, you want to make you some chicken salad, don't know where you're going to get the mayonnaise, but if you can find it. So I thought it would be almost foolish not to at least mix up my meats a little bit in the beginning, and then we can add fish and octopus or whatever we want to add to it later. Now, I wanted to do canned fruit to start. It was a little too expensive, so I went with canned peas as our vegetable. Not a lot to say about them, guys. It's canned. It'll be good for years. I like peas, so I went with peas. You go with anything you want, lima beans, whatever. I could eat a can of these and call it a meal. I could do that now, so if things go bad, that'll be good to have. Again, we're going to want to add some fruit, and actually probably some vitamin supplements in here. Again, a little farther down the road, but this is to get us started. Again, like I said, we're going to do this every week, so just keep it that. So this, pickles, is one of those foods I've heard can never actually go bad as long as it stays sealed. I don't know exactly how true that is, but I do know that it's gonna last a right good while. It's pickled stuff, you know, they're pickles. This is more of a comfort food for me. If you're gonna do this, if you're not a fan of pickles, I would recommend buying a couple cans of vegetables, because these were only about 44 cents a pop, or a fruit cocktail, something like that, as a replacement for this. I love pickles. If it's going to be the end of the world, guys, I want a can of pickles right now. That's just me. Again, you don't have to agree, but that's just me. Now, get into some really basic stuff. A flashlight. This is an Ever-Ready. It's supposed to be a floating flashlight. I'm not sure how well I would trust this in the water, but it comes with a 6-volt battery, $4. Not the brightest light in the world, not the most comfortable light in the world, and certainly not the most compact, but it was a lot better of a choice, I thought, than buying 3 or 4 one-time use LEDs. And we're going to buy a few more of these, actually. I know the common knowledge usually is to buy the absolute best flashlight you can afford to buy. I could have bought a better flashlight, but I wanted something, again, under 20 bucks. We're not going to buy these every week, but we will be buying a few of them. Light's important, and I like these because they sit. And you don't have to worry so much about them going anywhere. And they're easy to find, which is something people tend to forget about. Top of my head. Alright. Flashlights, you know, laying around in a drawer can be kind of hard to find. I'm not probably going to lose that one. Bic lighter. I don't honestly usually use Bics. I use lighters on a daily basis. Not usually Bics. They're a little more expensive than the lighters I use. Don't actually have one in my pocket right this second. We're not going to buy these every week either, but we're going to throw one in every now and again, along with some other fire sources and some stuff like that. Again, this isn't a bug out bag. This is, I need a lighter to start a little fire on my porch or in my backyard, or to light my candles. Again, you could buy ferrocerium rods and stuff, but if you're in your home, I don't really see much else that you would really need. And that was our 20 bucks this week, guys. Now, down the road, we are going to get into some other stuff, potentially. One thing I wanted to hit on real quick. MREs, this is a mistake that I made when I very first started prepping. I encourage you to go out and buy a case or 2 of these. Okay? If nothing else, they make for a great pack food when I go fishing and hunting and stuff. They are a great pack food. However, I'm not sure I'd want to live on these. I've heard quite a bit about the way they can kind of clog you up. We'll get into that down the road.